What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast with Justin and Brandon. It is time to predict the Italian Grand Prix, one of my favorite tracks. It's beautiful, it's historic, and I could not be more excited to see cars on track there this weekend. I'm feeling incredible, confident in my predictions. Brandon, how the heck are you feeling?
Doing great. Monza is an amazing track. It has a lot of great memories as I got to watch Daniel Ricciardo's final win in Formula One at Monza, and Lando got P2 there. So maybe that's a little bit of foreshadowing for this weekend. We'll see.
Another McLaren 1-2 could be in store, led by an Australian. Who knows if that's what we're predicting this weekend. Going into the weekend, I'm leading 34-32. I did not score a single point last weekend, so you closed down the championship gap. But this weekend, I'm making it right. I've got some incredible predictions. It's going to be lovely. Driver of the weekend, I went with Alex Albon. I went back and forth between a couple drivers of what I wanted here, but I'd settled on Alex Albon off the heels of an incredible Dutch Grand Prix because as much as that Williams car has gotten more balanced over the years and it's a better car overall than it once was, I still think they've got an absolute rocket ship in that thing for a straight line. And Monza's one of those tracks where it's not the easiest to overtake. You'd think it'd be an easy track to overtake on, but DRS is not as effective here because they're already running super skinny wings. So I think we see Alex Albon put that thing a cheeky little P6 in qualifying, and we've just got a Williams train for the entire Grand Prix behind Alex Albon. That's how I envision this going, and I'm confident I'm going to get the point for this weekend.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I have predicted Carlos Sainz to be my driver of the weekend, and I think we could both get the point on this for sure. Carlos had kind of a frustrating weekend last weekend in Zandvoort, to say the least. But he performed well overall. He got a horrible penalty, and then a lot of pit stop chaos and all that kind of ruined his race. But he outqualified Alex Albon, made it into Q3. So I think Carlos overall started his weekend or his second half of the season off on the right foot. I think it's going to carry over here to Monza. And like you said, Williams, I think, is a car that does really well at this track. We've seen a lot of really good performances for Williams at Monza in the past. So I expect Carlos to do well.
Yeah, Williams has performed well here in the past, well enough to convince Helmut Marko that Nick de Vries deserves to be on the grid. So we are expecting another great weekend from Williams. I think it would be hilarious for Carlos Sainz to find a way to finish in front of a Ferrari this weekend. I don't care which one. It would be sweeter if it was Lewis Hamilton's, but that would be hilarious, poetic justice at home for Ferrari. He finishes ahead of a Ferrari car. That would be very funny. Back marker of the weekend, I have gone with Franco Colapinto. This is not me picking on Franco because he's had his fair share of rough weekends this season. But I saw a graphic after this past weekend that was celebrating Franco Colapinto's P11. Okay, guys, come on. That's not even points. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing publishing a solo graphic for Franco Colapinto finishing P11 outside the points? I get it was his best finish of the season. What are we doing? There's no points for P11. No shot. Franco Colapinto has a better weekend here. I do not think that Alpine is going to be any good at this track, and you'd have to imagine he will get beat by Pierre Gasly. So Franco Colapinto is my back marker of the weekend.
I think that's a great pick. I think we can lock that in now. Even if Franco gets a second consecutive P11, he might still deserve back marker of the weekend. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see
if he doesn't get a second graphic for that P11, gone. Get him out of here. Give me the back marker point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have gone with Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki had actually maybe one of his best weekends at Red Bull this past weekend at the Dutch Grand Prix. But I don't think Yuki is going to be able to string that together with just how difficult the Red Bull is for him specifically to drive and how up and down his season has gone so far. I just don't think Yuki's going to be able to string together two decent weekends. I don't even want to call it a good weekend last weekend. 2 decent weekends. And, like you said, Monza is a tough track to overtake at. It requires a lot of skill and precision when picking your braking points, things like that. So I'm excited to see what Yuki can do, but I don't think it'll be much.
Yeah, Red Bull was a team that I considered putting here in my back marker. They've struggled here in the past. It was probably their worst weekend of the season last year, so I could see this. I do think it is diabolical that you're putting Yuki Tsunoda as back marker prediction for back-to-back weekends. Kind of feels like you're looking for some easy points here to close down this championship lead, but that's fine. I'll allow it. It's your predictions. That's okay. Pole prediction. I've gone with Oscar Piastri on pole for the Italian Grand Prix. I so dearly wanted to put Charles Leclerc. I just cannot trust Ferrari. There's not a single ounce in my body that has any confidence in Ferrari. Nothing against Charles. So I'm gonna go with Oscar Piastri. We saw him have success here in Italy last season. I think he's riding momentum from the Dutch Grand Prix. We've seen him perform very well in qualifying this year so far. So as much as I want to say Charles Leclerc could qualify on pole at home for Ferrari, I do not believe it's going to happen. I'm going to go with Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, that would be an amazing thing to happen. It's probably, you know what? It's probably gonna be Carlos Sainz. That's who's probably gonna get pole. But I've also gone with Oscar Piastri. I was really debating whether to go with Oscar or Lando here. Lando has had some great performances at Monza in the past, but I do think Oscar's kind of just carrying all the momentum, specifically in qualifying. He looked really, really good at Zandvoort this past weekend, and I think that's going to carry over to Monza.
Yeah, I'm like 99% sure that Carlos Sainz is still the last Ferrari pole sitter at Monza, so he's at least got that going for him. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Our podium predictions for the Italian Grand Prix in P3, I've gone with Lando Norris. I am not predicting a McLaren 1-2. I think Lando Norris will finish in third place, not have a bad weekend, but I do think that he'll be a step off Oscar Piastri from the get-go. I think it'll pretty much be one of those weekends where we do see Oscar Piastri dominating from the start, from free practice through qualifying into the race. So I think it would be a stretch to leave Lando off the podium unless another DNF happens or something. But I'm going to put Lando Norris in P3 this weekend.
It's an interesting pick. I am going to dive right into the Ferrari delusion. I'm going with Lewis Hamilton, P3. It sounds crazy the more I say it out loud, but I'm locking it in. That's what I'm going with. I would love to see it for him to get a podium at home for Ferrari. What a dream come true. But P3 is the highest that I can put Lewis, unfortunately.
I'm going to have a direct conversation with the audience here. As podium pusher and podium pusher washer, do we think that Brandon knew about Lewis Hamilton's 5-place grid penalty before he made this prediction? Back to Brandon. Did you know about Lewis Hamilton's 5-place grid penalty before he made this prediction?
No, I didn't.
That's
Uh,
unfortunate, but you did lock it in. So
I did lock it in. You know what? I'm backing him. I'm backing him. We're going with this. I did not know about that, and that's okay. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton for P3.
yeah, 5 minutes ago, he was just talking about how Monza's tough to overtake, but he's back in Lewis Hamilton. I
Yep.
like the Ferrari delusion. Let's roll with it. Speaking of Ferrari, in P2 for the Italian Grand Prix, I've gone with Charles Leclerc. There is probably some Ferrari delusion at home behind this prediction, but despite the chaos of what has been Ferrari's season, they are still in a fight for P2 in the Constructors' Championship, and I still think they're the second best car on average. So theoretically, Charles Leclerc should be able to bring home a podium at home. I want him to do it, and that probably plays a part in this as well. But I'm going to put Charles in P2.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Behind McLaren, it's really wide open between Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari, with who's the best at the particular track that weekend, who has the best luck at that particular track this weekend, who crashes into who at that particular track that weekend. So yeah, I for P2 for me, I could not put Charles or Lewis up there, unfortunately, and I'm still debating. Honestly, I think I'm gonna go with Lando Norris in P2. I'm switching things up a little bit. Um, yeah, I'm going with Lando Norris P2.
That's unbelievable. This is unbelievable. I knew you were stalling and you were going to do it. I might have to implement a rule where we can't make the same podium prediction position things. We'll discuss that. Maybe implement it for next season. Let us know in the comments if that's something we should do, because I know for a fact that we're about to have the same P1 here, and that's not as fun for the championship. So we'll think about it. But I knew you were stalling, and that's okay because we think alike as Formula One fans, and that's just the way it goes. In P1, I've gone with Oscar Piastri. He should have won this race last year. McLaren kind of dropped the ball and let him down on that one. We've seen him perform well here in the past. He loves a good P1 in Europe. We've seen that from Oscar Piastri. Got the momentum from last weekend. McLaren's the fastest car. I say the same things every week. It's just the way it goes in 2025. Oscar Piastri will win the Italian Grand Prix.
I agree with you. Oscar Piastri P1. That's what I'm going with. So we'll see what happens, but maybe I'll regret changing my decision.
Yeah, it would have been absolutely wild if I went on that whole soapbox rant about how we predict the same thing too many times, and you're like, Max Verstappen, P1, and I look like an absolute idiot. That would have been hilarious, but luckily for me, that did not happen, and we agree. So we probably just guaranteed an Oscar Piastri DNF. Our one push-in prediction for the Italian Grand Prix, I have said that at least 7 teams make it into Q3. I've put in the at least to cover my mistakes from being too specific last weekend. I think, we're riding the momentum with RB. Who knows where Sauber is? You could see a situation where Kimi Antonelli or Yuki Tsunoda doesn't make it into Q3 to open up some more slots. I think Williams is going to do well here. So 7 teams feels bold enough for me to put it in this section, but also feels attainable enough for me to feel fairly confident that I could get the point.
Yeah, that's super bold. I love it. If you also think about maybe Sauber, Nico Hulkenberg, Gabriel Bortoletos has some good qualifyings this year, so definitely possible. My one pushing prediction is pretty specific, but so I think McLaren's going to win the race, and the winning constructor gets to have another person stand on the podium. And my prediction is that Zach Brown is standing on the podium with his winning driver, whomever that may end up being. Covered myself there a little bit, not to back myself into a corner, but I think Zach loves Monza. He has fantastic memories of Daniel winning and getting that 1-2 here a few years ago. He has his tattoo to remind him of it. So I think Zach is going to say, you know what, this podium's mine. Everybody else can watch from the ground. He's standing on the podium. That's my prediction.
I could see that happening. He's in a bit of hot water after that shot from this past weekend emerged where he looked ticked off that Oscar Piastri just won that race. So maybe Oscar wins and Zach's like, I got to get up there, make myself look like I like both my drivers. So I could totally see that happening. I think that's a very realistic predictions. The fans and Page in Paradise says Norris, Leclerc, and Hamilton finish P1, P2, and P3. And Antonelli pushes Oscar off the track, making the championship equal again. That would be crazy and hilarious. I would love it for it to happen, and that is a loaded prediction. At X Gaslight says Hamilton podium. I'm delusional, but I want to see it. Yeah, we've all got some of that delusion in us too, and we wouldn't complain about a Hamilton podium. And at Zach Attack, double DNF for Ferrari. That's depressing, but that's just the way it goes.
It is what it is, but it's certainly possible. So.
Yeah, nothing is outside the realm of possibility with Ferrari this year. We could get a double DNF, double DSQ, double DNS. Who knows? Ferrari's just going to cover the whole bingo board this year, that's for sure. That is all we've got for our predictions for the Italian Grand Prix. As always, thank you for watching and listening to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast. Before we get out of here, Brandon, what are your parting podium thoughts?
And I'm excited for Monza. It's going to be great. I really hope that maybe the championship is brought a little closer this weekend. We'll see what happens, but it's all to play for, and Monza is a great place.
Yeah, it is indeed a great place. Thank you for letting us talk to you guys about Formula One. It truly means the world to Brandon and I. Before you go, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all the things. We will see you next week to react to the Italian Grand Prix. But until then, have a great day and God bless.
See ya.